So Kuro Games just released some new information about Wuthering Waves, which might actually change the course of the game forever. Now, as you know, we've just visited the Black Shores, and it's kind of made us think about a lot of the new regions that might be coming to Wuthering Waves in the future. Well, it turns out after a recent post by Wuthering Waves, we might actually know some of the names and some of the areas that we might be visiting in Wuthering Waves. And it's from a post that you probably did not expect. So in this video, we're going to be going through all of these places and also talking about the future of Wuthering Waves and what's to come in future versions, whether that's 2.0, 3.0, or even other small changes which are coming in the future. But before I get into this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy it, and also go to my Twitch where I'm going to be streaming live. I definitely recommend checking out the pinned comment down below or the description where you can go follow me, and then you get a notification as soon as I go live. So I definitely recommend doing it because we've got a ton of cool stuff over there. I'll be playing Wuthering Waves and also reacting to a lot of videos to do Wuthering Waves and other gacha content, so yeah, come check me out. But let's get back into the video. So recently Wuthering Waves actually released this post-Anthropocene, which again is a common thing that we get with a lot of characters, but this one's a little bit different. This one's for the 4-star Youhu, and they've actually made a little kind of like video showing off some of the idol animations and also skills and stuff that she has, which I think is just great, especially if, you know, you want to know what she does and how her character kind of reacts. And they also made this whole profile reveal pretty much, you know, revealing a lot of her kit, a lot of her, you know, level up materials and what she does. Again, I'm not going to bore you with exactly what she does or anything, but it is really cool to see that they are showing you what she kind of does without having a big long live stream for it. But some people actually spotted in some of her lore that we've actually gotten a lot of the names for some of the cities that are coming to Wuthering Waves. And this is just in Huanglong. So Huanglong, if you don't know, is one of the 6 nations on Solaris 3, meaning that we've actually got 5 more to go after this, but they mentioned there are a total of 6 cities and 1 capital city in Huanglong, being Jinzhou, Guangdou Mingting, which is the capital of Huanglong, Zhaozhou, Mengzhou, Rongzhou, Chuangzhou, Fangzhou, and Yuezhou, which again, Fangzhou and Yuezhou are actually the new ones that are mentioned in this lore thing. And it kind of shows us the absolute scale of Huanglong and the overall area that we haven't even visited yet. And pretty much you can see here, this is the lore for Youhu. I don't know if it's like exactly lore, but again, it's some kind of story to kind of introduce you to her character. And again, they mentioned both of these new areas, which is great. And it's going to be very interesting to see how Wuthering Waves actually do this in future updates, because obviously we've only really visited Jinzhou so far. A lot of people thought that Jinzhou was going to be the big like main capital city of the region, but it seems like that's not the case, with Guangdou Mingting being the capital of Huanglong, meaning that there's probably a bigger city out there, which again is absolutely insane, and I can't wait to see what they kind of bring with this stuff. And also we've got all of these other cities and, you know, kind of town names and stuff like that, which we haven't visited either. So again, so far we visited Jinzhou, so when are we actually going to visit a lot of these places? And it kind of makes you think, how big of an update is one of these future updates going to be? Because a lot of people have been speculating that obviously, as I said, there's 6 nations on Solaris 3, which again can be compared to games like Genshin Impact where they have all of these regions. So obviously, you know, we kind of got a roadmap set out for us, being Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma, Sumeru, Fontaine, Natlan, Snezhnaya, and then finally Kanria, I think it was. And again, I think that is great that they've actually set out that roadmap, and I think we've got a kind of similar thing going on with Wuthering Waves here, except we haven't got a roadmap for it yet, but it does seem like we do have 6 nations, which again is very important for moving on the story and getting the rover pretty much around the map to do a lot of this stuff. But that kind of begs the question, well, what are we going to see in the future updates for Wuthering Waves? Well, honestly, I think in the version 1.4 and beyond update, we're going to start to get introduced to a lot of these new areas. Now, I don't know how many of them, if we're going to get introduced to all of them, because some of them might just be left in the lore. We might not actually go and visit them at all, but I feel like they do have to get this over and done with so that they can move on to the new region in version 2.0, or maybe they're planning on going for 2 versions for one kind of region, which I think would probably make much more sense, seeing as they still have all of this area to cover. But again, no one has any clue of what these places are going to be like, and you know, when we are actually going to see them. And I think another good point that actually gets brought up is that the Black Shores update was actually supposed to be a hub to the unknown areas. They mentioned it in the kind of preview for it, saying that it used to be a kind of like traversal kind of hub thing where you could get to kind of any location, which I think after 1.4 and we get a little bit more into, you know, the whole story of the Black Shores and how it works and stuff, I definitely think this is going to open us up to the other regions and possibly the other cities as well. So we're just gonna have to wait until we see 1.4 to see what kind of happens with that, and to see how we're actually going to get to these new locations, because again, I think this is definitely how, you know, Kuro Games can move on this story. And obviously in version 1.4, I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing a lot of story to kind of wrap up a lot of the Black Shores stuff that's been going on, because again, we've seen in the past that Wuthering Waves don't like to dote on a kind of area all too much because, again, we had the story of the Black Shores and the Shorekeeper, but we do need some clarification on some of the other kind of mechanics to do with the Black Shores. Obviously, you know, what the people actually do there, what's happening going forward, is the rover going to stay, is the Shorekeeper going to take over, like literally what's going to happen overall. And I definitely think that 1.4 is going to be the one that answers that, and especially seeing as how it was advertised, as I mentioned at the beginning. Now, obviously, we've got other updates that are coming in the future. As I mentioned, PlayStation version is coming out very, very soon. Now, we haven't actually had any more information about this. I know I talk about it on this channel quite a lot. And again, we haven't had any more news about it at all. That's why I haven't made a single video about it. But again, it will be very exciting whenever that comes out. And I can kind of expect it to come out maybe, you know, after 1.4 kind of time, or maybe at the start of version 2.0. We're unsure. But again, that kind of brings us to the point of, you know, what's going to be happening in version 2.0. Now, as I've been saying throughout this video, there's a lot of new cities and stuff that have been announced, but honestly, I do think we are moving to a new region. Because, again, we can look back at other sources like Genshin Impact. If we look at places like Mondstadt, where this was the first region, this is like the first place we visited, and there's still a ton of places that we still haven't visited in Mondstadt, because they just didn't add it to the game, including stuff like I think there was like a port thing which we never actually got to visit, but it got mentioned quite a bit. So I'm thinking that Wuthering Waves are going to do something kind of similar here, where they do mention a couple of these cities, but never actually show it, or maybe add it in a later version, so that they can actually progress the story onto a new region, because I do think that's what Wuthering Waves needs, especially whenever it comes to, you know, bringing in a lot of new players, kind of enticing a lot of people to start playing again, is a completely new version with a completely new region, so that players can get immersed in that story once again, and not be kind of put off by the whole Jinjo stuff, because I think that's why a lot of people don't play the game at the moment, is because of a lot of the whole Jinjo stuff. People got bored of version 1.0, version 1.1, and because we've been around in Jinjo for quite a while, they have kind of bad feelings about it. They're like, oh, we're still in that region? Well, I don't really want to play it. But if they bring out a new region, we know that players come back for new regions, and also it would just be great for the players that just play story anyways, because again, there are players that are like that, you know? They do come back whenever they see something shiny and new, and I'm like that as well, you know, with other gacha games. If there's a new event, new kind of thing going on, then I would definitely come back to the game, and I think that, you know, Wuthering Waves definitely need to get on that. But this is definitely a very good start as well, because obviously, you know, adding this into Youhu's lore means that they're thinking about like some of the new regions coming up and some of the new cities coming up, and just expanding the world of Wuthering Waves overall, which could possibly hint at a big update very, very soon, because they're starting to mention a lot of this stuff. Because obviously, you know, if we think back to the start of the game, they haven't actually mentioned Fangzhou or Yuezhou at all, and now they're starting to mention it. Well, it seems like they are gearing up for a kind of expansion of the map, which I think is great. Now, obviously, they do, you know, face a couple of issues whenever it comes to exploring new regions and exploring new cities. I definitely do think they need some better traversal techniques, such as maybe mounts and stuff in the future. As I've been saying, I've watched a video on my stream the other day, which was pretty much talking about a Pegasus like Echo, which might be coming to the game. Which, again, I think would be absolutely great if you could have, like, kind of like flying echoes kind of thing, especially whenever the map gets bigger. And, like, obviously, it's not a problem right now, because obviously, you know, the map isn't that big, and you can just kind of teleport around. But I definitely think having, you know, more kind of capable mount to do a lot more traversal would be very, very cool, and that could easily be done in the form of echoes, because, again, it's echoes. Obviously, we've got stuff like the Inferno Rider out at the moment, which is great, but again, they don't last that long, and it would be cool if they could last pretty much an infinite amount of time, or maybe a longer amount of time, so that you could actually traverse the world of Jinjo and traverse the world of the Huanglong much easier. But again, that is very exciting to see. Again, a lot of really cool stuff coming in the future of Wuthering Waves. Let me know if there's anything else that I missed and any other things that you're excited for in the future, because again, there is a lot of stuff that could be coming in the future that we don't really know about. And I'm just super excited to see, you know, what Kuro Games can come up with, because they've impressed us so far, so, you know, what else can they actually do? But yeah, as I said, let me know in the comments what you guys think. And yeah, that's about all I got. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and also go over to my Twitch, give me a follow, as you'll know as soon as I go live, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. That's all, see ya!